I really want to change my lighting setup drastically. So the upgrades in this area. First thing is that I need to get a actual COB LED video light. And the one that I've been looking into a lot is the GVM P80S2. The first thing that I would like to upgrade is my lighting. That really needs to change as soon as possible. So that's the GVM P80S. And hopefully the buy one get one free deal. The GVM P80S2. The GVM P80S. The GVM P80S. The GVM P80S.
Well, that never happened apparently. But let's roll that intro. And let's get started. So, as you can see, my lighting setup has changed drastically again. I kept that promise from last week and ended up ordering that light. I didn't order it that day, which actually benefited me heavily, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. So, what we have now is the RAUBAY 100w COB light, and that's acting as my key light. That's right here with a Godox 37-inch octagonal softbox and a honeycomb diffuser. Then for my fill light, got my old trusty panel light over there, and hair light or backlight, that's gonna be right over there, and that's the old softbox ring light that I built. And it's not even that old. I modified it last week, but it has moved to the third position. So as you can see, the lighting has drastically improved since previous videos. We had the period where I was using only one light because my softbox broke and I was living in the shadows. Then I went back to the 2-light setup, which I had in early videos and in my last video. And now we have the 3-light setup. So with the 3-light setup, I'm still getting a little bit of shadow on the side of my face, which is very cinematic. And I love the way that looks, but I don't want to be fully this side of the face completely dark. So this is where it's at now. It looks great. The backlight is creating a little bit of separation in the background, and the key light is actually filling the back out a little bit as well, making my background a little bit clearer while still maintaining that separation that I love that makes the background look a little bit dreamy. So what I want to do today is give a basic review of this light and some of the pros and cons about it. So the light did not come with the diffuser. I ended up buying that at the same time because I knew I would need it. Instead, the light came with a reflector dish, a cap, and a remote. That's it. Now the remote is actually a bit of an advantage over some of the GVM P80 line. Now there are P80, P80S, and P80S Mark II. And I believe the P80S Mark II does have app control, but the other ones, you had to control the light directly from the light source itself. There was no remote at all. So having the remote is definitely helpful. I can turn the light on and off as long as the light switch is switched on, and I can control the brightness. And there's even a couple of effects. Hopefully none of you have epilepsy, but I just wanted to show a couple of the things that it can do with the remote. The light is made completely of plastic. So on the one hand, it's not the most durable in the world, but it's also very light. I got a very cheap light stand today from my local camera supply store, Service Photo of Baltimore. And it was used and it only cost me 15 bucks. And the salesman warned me, this is a very light duty light stand. You have to be really careful with this. It's having no problem holding up this light in this softbox, because the light itself only weighs 2 pounds. I'm gonna revisit the price on this light. So when I talked about it last week, it was $100 with a $20 off coupon. So that meant I would get it for 80 bucks. However, I didn't buy it immediately. I still kind of waffled on it, and that benefited me because a couple days later, it actually had a new coupon for 50% off. So now the light was down to 50 bucks. I had a couple gift cards laying around. I actually got this essentially for nothing. Softbox was 50 bucks, so between both of them and the light stand, 65 bucks. Fully functional, 37-inch softbox, COB light, and light stand. The GVM P80 with that whole set was going to cost me, I believe, $165. So I saved $100. You can't beat that. This light is also adaptable for indoor or outdoor use. It has 2 battery doors on the side into which you can put NPF batteries. And I do like that the battery doors are on the side and the battery compartments are recessed within the light, because that means that there's no danger of the batteries falling off if I'm using it outdoors or disconnected from a power source. And it doesn't add any more bulkiness, just a little bit more weight. But those batteries would have the same weight to any other light. Another great thing about this is that it's Bowens mount. So that means that basically any sort of modifier that I want to put on this is going to work. There is another RAUBAY light that is a little bit cheaper than this one that is not Bowens mount but comes with its own modifier. However, after looking a little bit deeper, I found this one, and the Bowens mount is so helpful to have. The light has an integrated heatsink and a fan. The fan is very quiet. I cannot hear it at all while I'm recording. I would not suggest necessarily keeping this at 100% for long periods of time. It is a cheaper light with a plastic construction, so you may want to be careful with that. However, in my small space, I'm not running it anywhere near 100%, and it still looks great. Alright, so let's list those pros again. This is a very cheap, very light plastic light that is adaptable for indoor and outdoor use and has a Bowens mount so it can be mounted on anything. As well, it has a grip handle, so if you are using it outdoors, you could have somebody just holding it and it won't be uncomfortable for them to hold or wield. It has the integrated heatsink and fan, and lastly, there's the remote control that is extremely helpful with this light. Alright, let's talk about some of the cons. So, this being a cheap Chinese manufactured light, the CRI rating that they say on Amazon is 97. I really doubt that it is actually 97, and because I'm not sure exactly what the CRI is, matching the color temperature with other lights may be a little bit difficult if that's something you want to do. Another con is that it may not be a full 100-watt light. I have yet to test this against other lights. However, I did see a couple reviews on Amazon testing it against other lights. And most of the reviews are positive for this light. However, the couple that are negative do seem pretty well informed. So keep that in mind. However, the lights that I was considering buying were in the 60 to 80 watt range. So even if this falls closer to 60 to 80 watts, it's still cheaper than anything else I was looking at and at least as bright. I'm not putting this against a Aperture 120D right now, so it really is fine. However, I expect to be able to do that comparison coming up soon. My friend has mentioned wanting to help me out with that comparison, so we'll see how it goes. The plastic construction, while being lighter, is, as I said, less durable. And because it is plastic, it will not dissipate the heat as well. But as long as I'm keeping it at a lower brightness like this, or I don't run it for extensive periods of time at 100, I really shouldn't have any issues with the plastic. The next con to this light is actually one of the pros, the remote. This isn't so much a con as it is a little bit of a confusion. RAUBAY has plans to make this light in a bicolor version, however they haven't made that yet. And the remote actually has buttons to change the temperature that actually just do nothing at all. So it's a little bit silly, and it could be confusing for people that bought this light, knowing that they were buying a daylight temperature light, and then to see those and think maybe they bought a bicolor, or they bought the wrong product, or were shipped the wrong product. So just be aware of that if you do buy this light. Now, it would be really nice if this light could be app controlled and sync with other lights, like the Aperture lights with the Sidus Link app. I don't have that as a need right now because I don't have any other lights of this brand, and it's possibly something that they'll develop in the future. However, it would be nice to have now to future-proof myself. As well, this means you cannot link your lights and control them within an app, so I have to individually set the brightness of each light when I set up. I'm just going to remember what percentage they're all at and set them up that way. The last con is that the kit is very basic. It didn't come with a carrying case or a light stand or a softbox of any kind. All it came with was the reflector dish, the remote, and the cover. It's a very basic kit, and you really are going to need other things to get off the ground with this unless you do plan on having somebody hold the light and only use a reflector dish. It did also come with a power adapter, but no batteries. Alright, so what's my verdict for this light? It is probably the cheapest Bowens mount COB light, and you really can't fault it for that. It's a great budget option if you're a creator that can't necessarily afford to dump a bunch of money into lighting at the beginning and want to have something of high quality that they will be able to use for a long period of time before having to upgrade, which is exactly where I am right now. So this accomplishes number one on my list from my previous video, where I wanted to upgrade certain things in my setup. And I actually went about upgrading other things in the setup before getting around to lighting, but I've finally done it and it really looks great and I'm glad I did. So next up, we'll fix the audio. All right guys, so if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate every single one of my viewers. And if you have any questions, concerns, comments, suggestions, leave them down in the comment section below and I'll be happy to answer as soon as I can. All right, have a great one.